What is up, guys? It is the Bluebloods coming back at y'all with another episode here on April 27th, man, a Tuesday. Make sure to go check out yesterday's awesome episode and make sure to go check out our Big 12 and 30 days with our guy, John Morris from Baylor. We got a big storyline, two big storylines today. First one, we're getting back to Brandon's, heart and soul here with the LSU Tigers. Landed a huge commitment that I'm sure Brandon is pumped to talk about. I am too. And we're going to continue catching up on some spring games. We didn't get to live stream this weekend, but we're getting down College Station, the Texas A&M Aggies. We're going to recap what happened in there. I believe it's the white and maroon game down there in College Station. But let's go ahead and kick it off with what's going on at LSU. And in case y'all didn't know, I know Brandon knew, but I know y'all probably didn't. LSU now has the number 2 class in the 2022 recruiting cycle, a 93 commit rating for their 13 commits according to 247. They've landed 3 5-stars. Most importantly, all 3 are from the state of Louisiana and are the top 3 recruits in that state. Coach O said, enough of this. We're building a wall around this state. We're prioritizing in-state recruits to stay home with the Tigers. Jacoby Mathews is who we're addressing today, the latest 5-star commitment for the Tigers, and was a huge pickup, and especially for a program trying to keep their title as DBU, which Brandon has said on the podcast is rightly theirs. Matthews is a monster safety, 5-star safety, the number 2 rated safety in the country. He is the number 30 recruit in the country, and I can't even pronounce the city. I'm sure Brandon can. Brandon, there you go. From that city in Louisiana, I wasn't going to mess it up. I know we have some LSU fans that would have roasted me for that. But, Brandon, what did you think of Matthews' commitment, and how big of a need was this for the Tigers?
It was huge, man. I mean, LSU continues this trend of having this one, like these really great safeties, just in the last 3 seasons, I'd say those guys were Grant Delpit, Jacoby Stevens, and now Jacoby Mathews is stepping in. Obviously, he's not going to play next season, but he's committed. He's still a junior. He'll be a senior this fall. It is super interesting to see LSU grab these commits that it seems like forever they could not. These guys out of Louisiana who would be snatched up by teams like Alabama, mostly just teams like Alabama, to be completely honest with you. So, God, I hate when LSU play, or when kids from Louisiana go to Alabama. But it is what it is. We're gonna quit talking about that now. I'm glad. I mean, he's from Ponchatoula, like I said. It's about 45 minutes up the road from here in Baton Rouge. It's where TJ Finley's from. Same high school as well. These two, I'm not sure if they both played at the same time, but they were both in high school at the same time at least. So, yeah, man, it's great to have this guy. The reason I tried to stop you there is because you said 93. That is according to 247. Who cares about just 247? Composite has him at 30. I believe in the initial rankings, this kid was rated as an athlete. He's now rated as a safety. That was his primary position. This kid's played all over the place, man. I'm talking about safety primarily, like I said. He's played cornerback and quarterback. So he plays both sides of the ball. I'm not saying LSU needs any more quarterbacks. Look at that quarterback room. It looks pretty stout right now, I'd say. Hopefully stout, hopefully no more injuries. But, yeah, man, I mean, it's huge, honestly. And, Zach, I'll let you get a little bit more into his style of play and what he brings to the Tigers.
Yeah, man, I mean, this kid's 6'2", 205 right now. I mean, he grew a lot. I think he was only like 6 foot, 185 as a sophomore. So this kid's growing just at a ridiculous rate. He's a 2-sport athlete, Brandon. Averaged 12.5 points and 6 rebounds as a sophomore playing basketball down there too. His biggest positives for me, Brandon, when I watch his film is, one, his frame and size is just ridiculous for a safety. I mean, this kid is big, and I think it's going to really help him down the line. He's going to be big enough to bully wide receivers at the line of scrimmage, Brandon, and allow him to shut down this trend that we see with the Kyle Pittses of the world, with the Eric Gilberts, with the Darnell Washingtons in Georgia. He's going to be able to help shut down those bigger tight ends and wide receivers that we are being accustomed to seeing recently. I think his versatility is another huge thing, Brandon. His size allows him to be very versatile in what he plays and where he plays in the defense. Just by watching on the defensive side of the film, he played both safety spots, slot corner, boundary corner, and stepped down to the box kind of in that sub linebacker role. That is so important today, Brandon, especially with these defense coordinators running these unique schemes where they can flip between 4-2-5s, 3-4s, 4-3. You're never going to know where you're going to need someone to line up. And it allows the defensive coordinator to be creative because not every player you have is versatile. So you want to have your best 11 players on the field. Well, if you got two kids who could only play safety, but they're one of the top 11, it allows you to move this kid elsewhere on the field and allows you to keep your three best secondary athletes on the field at the same time. I don't feel like a lot of people talk about that enough. And the ball skills, Brandon, that is where I think this kid is elite at. The way he can locate and maneuver his body and take the quickest route there to get in position to either intercept or break up a pass is just something you can't teach. I mean, he understands how to attack all the different angles, ball placement, the different sizes of wide receivers. He can put his body into the perfect spot to make a play. And I think that's what LSU was looking at and said, we have to sign this kid ASAP. But, regardless, if you look at Tiger droppings, you might say I'm full of it. But I promise you, his weakness is just, I think straight line speed is the best way to put it, Brandon. He accelerates really well. He plays at a pretty good game speed for me. But that straight line speed definitely can be improved on. It could make him a liability deep in coverage for those speedy type wide receivers that we've kind of been accustomed to seeing. Like we saw Anthony Schwartz have a big game against LSU. I don't think this kid I don't think you could put him on Anthony Schwartz or Kadarius Toney or anything like that. But he still has a place in a defense. So I don't think it's the end all be all here with his speed. He's a 4.75 at the opening, Brandon. It's on the lower side for safeties, especially in this day and age of college football. But I think he could improve on this. But I think this, Brandon, when you look at way ahead into his NFL future, I think this kind of puts him into that tweener role that we've been kind of hearing, where I don't think he could be a true NFL safety. I think his talent is enough to be an NFL draft pick, but I think he's going to have to play that Jamal Adams tweener role when he moves on past LSU.
I agree with you, man. And honestly, look, I can't remember who I was listening to pretty recently, but they're talking about the trend in NFL receivers. If you look at them today, they are small, speedy guys. I mean, look at the receivers we're getting in this year's draft. Devontae Smith, small guy, super speedy. Kadarius Toney, super speedy, small, and not to mention Rondale Moore, 5'7". So, I mean, this is kind of the trend. This is where linebackers are going. I think that corners, especially, are getting smaller and faster to be able to keep up with these guys, and safeties are getting a little smaller and faster to be able to keep up with these guys. I think it's just kind of this natural progression. So, yeah, I'd like to see him before I make any decisions or anything. I'd love to see him on the field. Like you said, his game speed it looks good. He looks quick, especially. I mean. And I hate to say go look at his highlight film, but go look at it. Go look at Huddle, and especially look at the times where he's playing quarterback. I mean, he's making cuts. He looks quick on the field, and he's outrunning guys. So maybe this 40 isn't indicative of his true speed. I think once he puts the pads on, he gets into the game. He plays faster than he's clocked at. But yeah, I mean, with his size, like I was saying to start with his size, I don't think he'd have an issue. I mean, it's not like he's going to get any smaller, Zach. He's a junior in high school. Put a little bit more weight on. Worst case scenario, drop him down to that tweener. Absolute worst case scenario, drop him to an outside linebacker, and I think this kid still eats.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a unfamiliar transition. We've seen players transition from, playing safety in high school to being a linebacker. And I think you're seeing, like you said, the trend of smaller safety, smaller corners. You've also seen the trend of more athletic linebackers. Look at the 2-3 guys who are getting first round looks at linebacker. I mean, you look at Micah Parsons, you look at Xavier Collins, you look at JOH out of or JOK out of Notre Dame. I mean, all those guys can run. All those guys are physical. All those guys are big and fast. And so I think that this is kind of the trend we're seeing. So I would not be surprised if Matthews ended up being a linebacker. And I think with his athleticism, his height, his ability to elevate, I think you could see him kind of fall into that role that we've seen someone like a Fred Warner for the 49ers fall into. I think that's kind of like his ceiling right now. That's kind of the mold he can jump into. I know Fred Warner is one of the best linebackers in all of the NFL. I'm not saying that's what he'll be. I'm just saying that's kind of the archetype that I see him falling into. And I think if you're an LSU fan, that's amazing. But Brandon, I don't really know a lot about this new defensive coordinator scheme. Where how do you think he'll be utilized by LSU and this new defensive coordinator coming in?
That's what a question, because I'm not too familiar with the scheme either. I mean, he coached the Vikings. I hate the Vikings, but he coached the Vikings over the past couple seasons. He's coming in obviously with a more updated scheme than Bo Pelini had, which is not.
I would hope so.
Bo Pelini lived in like 1998. I don't know how he ever got a job. He didn't get an interview, I don't guess. But, oh, man. But, yeah, I mean, I think he'll fit in. I mean, honestly, look at any of these NFL defensive coordinator schemes. They're all kind of transitioning to this, like I was saying earlier, these smaller corners, smaller for the NFL anyways, more athletic safeties. So I think he fits in well. Exactly where he fits in, I'm not sure. I don't want to BS my way through this, but I think he'll fit in well in this scheme.
Yeah, and no matter who the defensive coordinator is, I think Coach O is going to have a lot of input. Coach O is a defensive guy, in case y'all didn't know. He was an elite D-line coach at multiple places, especially back in Miami when they were putting together some – I guess I would like to say NFL defenses, Brandon. I think that's a safe thing to say. So let's not underestimate Coach O's defensive prowess here. But, Jacoby Mathews, 5-star, brings LSU to number 2 in the rankings. I mean, they're even above Ohio State, which I didn't think was going to be possible. Making them at Georgia. We'll have to cover Georgia's recruiting class soon. But LSU, hot on the trail right now, building a big wall around the state of Louisiana. And I think they have 100% crystal ball predictions for the top 8 recruits in the state of Louisiana right now, Brandon. And I think y'all have the commit from the number 8 too.
I love that. I mean, I can't tell you how much I love that, because when we started this segment, you guys heard me on this thing. LSU has had an issue recruiting Louisiana. Les Miles could not recruit Louisiana. Coach O in his first couple seasons could not either. It's so good to see these kids staying home and playing for this flagship university. So that's very exciting for every resident of the state.
I absolutely agree, man. So let's get to our spring game coverage. Yesterday, we were in Texas talking about the Texas Longhorns. Today, we're going to stay in Texas. Why not? Let's not travel too far here. Let's go right up the road. College Station, man. Texas A&M. Jimbo Fisher has this program hyped up after just a ridiculous season last year. Only one loss to Alabama. They felt like they were spited out of the playoff. He's gearing up for another playoff run. Kellen Mond, 15-year starter for the Aggies, on his way out now to the NFL. Dude's been there since 1985. But we have a new quarterback. We're trying to rebuild just a lot of things here at A&M. So, Brandon, what was your biggest takeaway from the spring game this weekend?
Man, Texas and now Texas A&M. It's my 2 favorite teams in a row. This is great. If you're me, you love this spring game because Texas A&M looked bad. Their offense looked really bad, man. The quarterback that looks like they're going to go with, the quarterback who was taking the first round or first team reps, he went 19 for 40 passing this weekend, Zach. I mean, yeah, he kind of got the job done, but you can't even go 50% passing. And then the QB2, or the guy or the quarterback who was taking second team reps, just barely got over 50% passing. What was he, 16 for 31? And both of them had pretty bad interceptions. The defense, I'll say, looked decent for Texas A&M. That was definitely the bright spot here. But, man, they got to do something about this quarterback battle, or I don't know. I mean, it kind of makes you think that you're going to be looking back to the glory days of this past season, the year before now, when you had a quarterback who could sometimes get it done at least.
Yeah, I think you had that backwards. Haynes King was the first team quarterback for most of the
Right.
game, and Zach, I think it's I don't even know how to say it. Caliza. I don't know.
Kaliza.
Zach. We'll just call him Zach. Yeah, we'll call him Zach. He was the second string quarterback, but yeah, they both were right there to 50% completion rate. Each threw a pick, but Brandon, I don't put it all on them. I feel like the wide receivers dropped a lot of passes.
Yeah.
I feel, I feel like there were a few. It's just like, how did you not pull that in, bro? Like this is a spring game. Like they're not going to crush you. Like if you catch it, like it's going to be okay. And it just kind of makes me a little worried because last year I felt like they really lacked that true number one threat. Which, as a positive, I think they found this week. Anais Smith absolutely looks the part here, man. I mean, 5 catches, 115, and a touchdown. This kid looks like the real deal. I think they're going to have Isaiah Spiller in the run game carrying that. I think Anais Smith is really going to carry this passing attack. I do think Haynes King kind of took that. I still think he's the favorite. I think he's young. I think he was going to make some mistakes. I really don't like the efficiency because I feel like we were so accustomed to Kellen Mond going out there, and not turning the ball over. Brandon going out there making plays with his legs. He was so underrated in terms of what he did for this offense and how it ran efficiently that I think fans and media are going to have to take a step back and say, okay, this kid's a freshman. He's going to have some time to get where Kellen Mond was because we saw 27 years of Kellen Mond at Texas A&M. So, I mean, I think we have to pump the brakes. But on defense, man, I really like what they have, especially at safety. Damani Richardson looks like the real deal. And then they still have Jalen Jones, who I don't believe played this weekend, if I'm not mistaken. And they also held out a few D linemen. But I like Elijah Blades too. I mean, I like Elijah Blades, Jalen Jones, Miles Jones, all who set out. Josh Moten looked really good. Deuce Harmon looked really good at cornerback. Leon O'Neal, I liked him as well. And I just think this defense is getting there, Brandon. And they held out a lot of edge rushers due to injury concerns, and they really didn't put them in a lot of positions to succeed. They still got 3 sacks on King, but I like this kid McKinley Jackson, Brandon. I mean, the kid's out of Lucedale, Mississippi, George County High School. We thought he was going to LSU, and he flipped on everyone's script. He didn't record a lot in the. I guess if you look at the box score, you're not going to see this kid's name pop out. But I think what he did was require double, triple teams to get him out of the middle of the defense, and that's all you can ask for with a nose tackle. This kid's a unit. I think this kid's gonna, by the end of the season, will probably be one of the most popular, most looked at defensive tackles in the SEC. I think this kid has a lot of potential, and Brendan, this might be one of the first years, man. I don't know. I can't believe I'm saying this. This might be the first year the defense is better than the offense at A&M.
I agree, man. I mean, I can't disagree with you there at all. I mean, the Maroon defense didn't allow a touchdown during this game, which not just the white team's offense was the second team offense, so it's whatever. But they still didn't allow any touchdowns in a spring game, which is pretty impressive. So the defense definitely looked good. Like I said, they were definitely the bright spot of this weekend. But other than that, I mean, I'm not trying to be too negative. Like I said yesterday, if you listen to yesterday's episode, I dislike Texas a lot. I dislike Texas A&M a lot, but I'm not here to trash you during the spring game segment of the 2-minute drill. I just didn't see a ton of upside in this, and I'm probably going to go back and eat my words. Zach's probably going to play. He's probably going to clip this and play it if Texas A&M beats LSU this season. So I'll just stop where I'm at while I'm ahead, I guess.
I mean, so the last thing I want to cover, I think the weak point of this team, Brandon, and I think this kind of contributed to how the quarterbacks worked out. That offensive line looked atrocious. I'm just going to put it to you dead straight. That offensive line, if they go out there and perform like they did this weekend, they're going to give up like 6-7 sacks a game. I mean, we are talking about Miami, 2019 offensive line. We're like, get someone some help. I mean, this offensive line might be worse than Auburn's from a few years ago. Brandon, so the tackles, they were too focused on outside edge threats, and we're just letting pressure right up the middle. Brandon, you played. I know neither of us played at elite level. We both played some O-line. What's the one thing that was taught, even just in just normal football? You don't let pressure in from the inside, right?
Yeah.
You played center. You played center. I know it doesn't look like it now because you lost a bunch of weight, but this dude played center. And you can't let interior pressure break into the pocket. And as a tackle, you have to focus on that too. And Brandon, I know offensive line, it requires experience. It requires playing together, chemistry. They're gonna have to grow up quickly, to say the least. I mean, this offensive line looked like it could bring the season down. And if I'm looking my preseason rankings, I had A&M possibly winning the SEC West this year. I don't know if they're the second best team in the West right now.
I don't know either. And the odds are still there. So, guys, if you're a gambling man, not me or Zach, we just talk about gambling a lot on this podcast. If you're a gambling man, go ahead and place your bets on anyone else. I think A&M's I think they might have the odds to win the SEC West right now, which is weird.
I think they do. The good thing is, though, Brandon, if you look at their schedule, they get Kent State week 1. You should be able to make it through that. I think that will give them a week together. But then you have just a tricky game. I don't think there's a pass rusher that's going to dominate you, but a road trip to Colorado and Denver is going to be interesting. I think you're going to have some experience there. And then you get kind of another break with New Mexico at home. So, Brady, you should have 3 weeks to get a little bit of chemistry. Colorado will be a great measuring stick to see if you can get this offensive line together. And the lucky thing is they get Arkansas and Mississippi State as their first 2 teams, which, I think Arkansas is going to be better and all that, but I don't think Mississippi State or Arkansas have a top D-line in the country.
Right.
So you get 5 games, Brandon, before you invite Alabama October 9th into Kyle Field. That is going to be – if you can't figure out this offensive line issue by that date, it's going to get ugly.
Real.
I promise you, that Alabama D-line is going to be a lot better than anything you faced in the first 5 weeks.
Yep.
I mean, I'm just worried. I am. The offensive line issue really worried me. We're a big offensive line podcast. We got to see some offensive line development. I think A&M is going to be okay. But I think we should tailor expectations till we see this offensive line come together and we see a little bit of growth from the quarterback position. The defense looks amazing, Brandon. We mentioned that. I think the D-line and secondary might be the best A&M has had in a long, long time. But until that offensive line and quarterback come together, Brandon, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many skill players you have. If that quarterback position ain't right, that offensive line ain't right, you're not winning anything in the SEC.
Absolutely.
So, A&M, a little cautious. You had me a little nervous. You got me a little nervous. I was going to come on this podcast if this game didn't happen and say y'all might win the SEC. I'm going to throw up now. That is not – I don't know if that's going to happen right now. Y'all have the 4th best odds to, win the title. I need better from this offensive line.
Which I just don't get, but whatever.
But Brandon's a little biased because Brandon knows that, that revenge tour is coming the last week of the season. But – guys, we appreciate y'all tuning in, man. We appreciate all y'all support. We're inching our way to 150, man. We're running out of time. Thursday night, man, if we hit 200, I designed a bunch of merch to give away, man, and we have some really cool merch that isn't going to be in this bundle, but can be in another one, and that we might put up for sale. We got some cool stuff to give away to y'all. So if we get to 200, we got another 5 of y'all picked. We already picked our first 5, and I'm really excited for them. But make sure you get a chance at your merch. We're almost to 150, so make sure to spread the word, man. If you're watching this, make sure to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to the podcast, man. You can find us. It's down on the bottom right. You can find us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. There's our Twitter. Make sure to go find us everywhere, man. B-Dub figured it out. I forgot I'm on the other side, so no matter where I point, it's not going to be there. But, guys, as I said, we are the podcast of the week for Undrafted Sports this week, so make sure to go check out undraftedsports.com. We are the front page. But while you're there, man, we're going to use this week to promote the rest of the network, man. Don't worry about our podcast. We already know y'all listen to us, and we love y'all for that. Make sure to go find another podcast y'all love in the undrafted media world, man, and make sure to subscribe to them and look at everything and make sure to, go support some of the other podcasts that are in this amazing network. But guys, y'all know where to find us, and y'all know we're going to be back tomorrow with another 2-minute drill. But for right now, myself, B Dub, and the 2-minute drill, and the Blue Bloods, we are out.